Alright, what up guys? This is Ryan from Elevate Security, and in this video I wanted to start a new series here which I'm going to call the OSCP Tool Spotlight. But rest assured, even if you're not going for OSCP, this is going to be like really valuable information, giving you insights on how to use really common various hacker tools, pen test tools. So I think it will be extremely valuable whether you're pursuing OSCP or not. I mean, of course, if you are pursuing the OSCP, then hopefully this will be of great value to you. I definitely think so. These are things that I certainly used on OSCP and in CTFs in general and daily in my field on the job. So yeah, in this first tool spotlight video, we're going to be going through Nmap, and I'm going to be breaking down like all the different ways that I commonly use Nmap. And all the little tricks and some like more unique things with Nmap that I use. So in this video, I'm not really going to be explaining how Nmap works. I'll do that in another video if there's an interest for that, because I want to really like put the spotlight on how to use the tool more so than just this is how TCP/IP works and this is like what a stealth scan is and stuff, you know. So I'll start by saying like the most common way I use it. If you watched any of my other videos, you'll see that I often use this command with the default scripts. I like to run that and enumerate versions as well, and I usually just run it on those default ports. If you don't specify the ports, then it runs it on like I think the top, I forget how many. I have to check the documentation, but a pretty good amount. Good enough for something quick and dirty to quickly get started on an assessment. So I also like to output all formats and name it whatever. And so, you know, you guys have seen me run this command many times, right? So there's no surprise there. Now, I guess while that's running, another thing we can look at here is, oh, that one, this one. Another thing we can look at is, so this is my what I would call my short Nmap script, my quick Nmap scan. What I do for like a longer like background scan is I want to scan all ports, right? So like I mentioned in previous videos, you always, as an attacker, you always want to just have your recon going. You never want to just be sitting there and like testing stuff and then delaying your recon and then just having to run it later when it comes to mind. You want to always be, so if you can automate this stuff, if you can even put this in a script and stuff, you can really speed it up. Or I haven't used that reconnoiter tool in forever, but I have a video on that one. Maybe I'll link it in the cards if I can remember to. But that's another good one for sure. So yeah, my longer scan though is going to be -p-, and this is just a shorthand for all ports, all TCP. So that's ports 1 through 65535. So a ton of ports. That's pretty much all of them. So T5, because if I'm running this, now this is on a case-by-case basis. If you're in an environment where you know you need to make sure that you aren't too aggressive, you might bring something down, then don't use this aggressive of a scan. This is the most aggressive. I normally use it in the CTF environments, OSCP, hack the box, stuff like that, because I don't really care if I bring it down. I can just like reboot it or whatever, spin it up again. And I'd rather have this scan finish sooner rather than later. So that's why I run the -T5, and then I'll just output all formats, and then I'll call it full, right? Or like the full scan. Do I want this to complete or not? Oh, it looks like it's kind of close, so maybe I'll do that. I'm not gonna run this full one. It's gonna take a while to run. Of course, I got to give it the IP address as well, as always, 10.10.10.109 in this case. So yeah, this would be like my full scan. Now, keep in mind with both of these, oh, cool. So one thing to keep in mind is that with both of these scans, we're scanning only for TCP. We were not scanning UDP ports, right? And if you want to do thorough recon, you absolutely cannot ignore UDP ports. So let's get straight into that. The way that I would scan for UDP ports, because one thing you have to keep in mind is that UDP takes a lot longer to scan than TCP. Just the nature of the protocol. It's what's it? Kind of like a connectionless protocol. Like whereas TCP, you know, you have a handshake and you establish a connection. In UDP, it's just send it and forget it, pretty much. So the way that I like to run a quick Nmap scan on UDP, let me clear this out, is I do SU, and that specifies that this is a UDP scan. I do -V for verbose, and what this does is while it's scanning, if it finds an open port, it's going to pop up in my output right away, and I'm not going to have to wait until the scan is complete and then see what's open. Because this is important because, like I said, UDP scans take a lot longer to run, so I want to be able to know on the fly. And then I'll just give it, you know, like maybe like a short UDP or something like that, right? And then the IP address. And I guess we could run this. All right, so let me make sure I sudo the password, and yeah. So that's what it's gonna do. I'm not sure if there's even any UDP ports open on this box, but if there was something, we would see it pop up here. It will tell me in this output. So that's how that one works. Now, this is the quick UDP, like I was saying, right? So just as we have a quick TCP scan and then like a longer scan after that, same thing goes for UDP as well. So if I was doing my longer UDP scan, what I would do is, you know, of course, verbose 100%. But I would also try to enumerate the version and run some default scripts on the stuff that's open. And I would also, you know, we could do this to do a no ping, so we don't have to worry about that. And then we can also disable ARP ping. And these are just some little quality of life things that's going to make the scan more efficient, because this UDP stuff, it can get pretty long and pretty cumbersome to scan all the UDP stuff. Of course, this isn't even all ports, but this is like as lengthy as I would go usually, just because of the nature of UDP, like I was saying. But yeah, it's always good to have it saved to files so that you can access the results of the scan later. So we'll do like a full, or it's not really a full, but we'll just say long UDP, you know, something like that. And of course, again, I'm not going to run this because it would take really long to run. So this is like as granular as I would get with the UDP stuff. So yeah, that's for that stuff. Now, if I go back to the first page here, we got our TCP stuff, we got our results here. We broke that down in another video. But we have it in 3 formats is what we'll see, because we did output all formats. So we got the greppable format. We can take a look at that format. That allows us to easily grep for stuff. So for example, I could grep for open here, and I can see I can have it to only show me the line where there was something found as open, right? So I could grep for certain ports, like say I wanted to see 22, and then I get port 22 there. Now, here's where this is helpful, right? If I had like if I had like a list of IPs here, there's just like so many ways. This is more of like a grep thing than an Nmap thing, right? But you get the point. Like I don't want to, honestly, I don't want to get too far into this because this is like a rabbit hole, and I really want to keep the focus on Nmap. But I'll cover grep in another video. But yeah, this is a greppable format. We also have the standard Nmap format that we got as our output. That's this here. And then we also have an XML format, which is not meant to be really viewed in your terminal. It's meant for importing into other tools like Sparta and stuff, which again I can cover in another one, Nmap maybe, whatever you guys prefer to use for that. But another thing, that's not it, there's also IPv6, right? And so IPv6, as opposed to IPv4, it's in hexadecimal. So if I do an ifconfig You can see, for example, this is my IPv6 address right here, this whole thing, or this one here rather, either of them. And so now, if this one, instead of an IPv4 address, if it had an IPv6 address, what I could do is I could scan that with Nmap. So the only thing about scanning IPv6, let me go ahead and just clear this out here. That way we got a cleaner real estate here. So yeah, if I wanted to scan IPv6, what I would simply do is I would give it the -6 flag, and I mean, I guess I'll use mine as an example in this case, right? Like, let's just copy this, and yeah, so we could do like SV. We could do like the same things as before, like default scripts and, you know, the enumerate versions, and we could call it IPv6, or like short IPv6, and let's see, what else would we want here really? I mean, that's pretty much all that we would need, and then we just say -6, and then we give it the IP address in, you know, the IPv6 address there. So we could just run that, and that would do the scan on that. And then, you know, similarly, we could run a full scan. You know, from here it's like, this is TCP. This is going to be a TCP scan. So from here it's just the same as the TCP stuff. If you wanted to run it on all ports, you could do like -b-, and then you can just say like, you know, full IPv6. All right, so, you know, pretty simple there, pretty straightforward, I think. This is it for the basics of the Nmap OSCP tool breakdown, and I'll see you guys in the next video. We're going to be covering even more in depth. We're going to do a second tool breakdown on Nmap because it's really that like feature rich and really that much you can do with it, and I really want to do it justice. So I will see you guys in the next one.